All right, it's so good to stand before you and to do this a second year in a row. We were never sure if we would have a second conference, but after hearing some of the comments that we heard from last year and some of the great reports, we felt that it just wouldn't be right if we didn't do it again. Just to let you know, some of the things that we heard were things like it was transformative, it blew my mind, it was the most powerful spirit I've felt in a long time. It was the most genuinely spiritual experience I've had in many, many years. So, really good reports, and we hope that we'll feel something of that again. Just to introduce myself briefly, my name is Bryce Cook, and I'm a member of the Mesa, Arizona Lehigh State. And together with my fellow organizers, of which there are many here, we welcome all of you who identify as gay, LGBT, or same-sex attracted, or any friends and family, or just fellow board members or local leaders, anyone interested in learning more about this. We appreciate your attendance here today. We especially want to thank everyone who has contributed so much to make this happen. Everything is donated. You know, that's one of the things that we wanted to do, was to keep this free of charge. And all the food, the time, the decorating, the rental of the facility, the kindness of our keynote speaker traveling all the way from the East Coast, none of that is reimbursed. It's all everyone doing this because we love all of you and care about you. It was almost 2 years ago when this whole thing started, as far as our little local LDS LGBT group here in Arizona. And my son, actually my oldest son, Trevor, who's not here because he lives and works in China, got an idea of doing something like this, of having some sort of a support or social group for LDS gay people. And he had just come out more publicly after having only told his parents and us having known for the last 10 years. And he got together with some other friends, Brian McNamara and DJ and some others. Brian Hendrickson. And you know, here we are today now having our second annual conference. We grew from just a few people in our first meeting to now we have, I think, something like 250 on our private Facebook page. So it's really been a wonderful thing. The objective of our group, and particularly of this conference, is very similar to the objectives of the Mormon Church's own website called mormonsengaged.org. There's basically two objectives. The first is to reach out with love and understanding to our LGBT members. And I think that this goes along with what Elder Quentin Cook says on that website, and which is the theme of this year's conference, wherein he states, as a church, nobody should be more loving and compassionate. Let us be at the forefront in terms of expressing love, compassion, and outreach. And the second objective is to help educate our members. You know, as Elder Oakes introduces the church's website on this subject, he says something very interesting. He says, what is changing and what needs to change in the church is to help our own members and families understand how to deal with same-gender attraction. So there is definitely a recognized need in the church to better educate. And so that's the second part of our conference. Now, what you'll hear today are a number of people's real-life experiences and stories, and many of them very heartfelt, touching. And I thought it would be appropriate to share what Elder Todd Christofferson says about the vignettes in the mormonsengaged.org website, because it's very similar. He says, you'll hear stories and experiences from quite a diversity of people. You'll see in these experiences some people state what you would call the position of church, or of the church, and others not. But again, they're all very authentic, and as we listen to one another and strive to understand, things can only get better. And so that's really the purpose of our conference and what we're trying to share today, is not to judge anyone's status or position or what they've chosen in life, but simply to do as the Savior did, to reach out and love and to better understand. So with that, I would like to introduce our first two speakers. This is a wonderful, wonderful family, Jonathan and Rachel Meigs Manwaring. They were introduced to our group by attending the conference for the first time last year, and now they're speaking. So any of you who are first-timers this year, watch out, because you may be speaking next year. But they've been such a wonderful addition. Everyone absolutely loves them, and you'll see why when you hear them speak. They're both originally from Idaho Falls area, and attended Idaho State. I believe that's where they met. And Jonathan, what brought them to Arizona is Jonathan went to medical school down here, and has now been in private practice for 4 years. And they live out in Glendale, and they have 5 little kids. And it's amazing to me that while he was going through his residency, which is an extremely tense, high-pressure situation, he was called to be the bishop in his ward out in Glendale. And they had 5 little kids. So you can see how, what kind of people they are, just the stature and the faith and the great love they have for the gospel and for other people. And I think that will be very apparent as you hear them speak. So I will turn the time over to each of them, and then I'll introduce our keynote speaker.